Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. I'm here today with the Empire. Well, not me specifically. It's actually Shetland Apache going to be taking on Kark. So we've got Empire versus Skaven. Very interesting builds. And VOLKMAR'S gone with a very cav-focused build. Just 4 spearmen up front, and then hidden in the woods here we've got a Bright Wizard. Knights of the Blazing Sun and Empire Knights with 2 Reichsguard. And over here, there's going to be some more Empire Knights and 1 more Knights of the Blazing Sun. So, very much a cav-focused build. Kark has gone in a bit of the opposite direction. Large armies are enabled, so we've got an 1,800 strong Skaven force here. Lots of different types of Skaven slaves, spears, regular hand weapons. For Heroic Core, we've got Tretch, an Assassin, and a Warlock Engineer. A couple units of Flayers, a bunch of Rat Ogres as well, and 4 units of, let's see, actually a couple of Gun Runners with Poison, and a couple of Night Runners. So, yeah, let's get things moving. This is going to be a wild one as there are tons and tons of units on the field. Obviously, the Empire force heavily outnumbered, so they're going to have to force some good engagements. But right off the bat, Zittler's Reichsguard up in Vanguard as well, so that makes 3 total Reichsguard, 8 heavy cavalry in total, so this is potentially going to be a very interesting situation. VOLKMAR making his way forward as well. We're just going to keep it up on the hilltop here for just a moment as the Zittler's Reichsguard charge in. Knights of the Blazing Sun, more knights following up here. Will they be able to make solid contact with the snare nets and the poison? They may not be able to, but it looks like instead they're targeting the Night Runners specifically, and a few of the knights falling on the charge there, but oh man, those Reichsguard in the sunset. Zittler's Reichsguard landing a huge charge there, just going to be impacting those Night Runners greatly, doing a ton of damage right off the bat. They immediately just follow through onto those Skaven slaves, and oh man, this is going to be a lot of charges. Just like this, these light Skaven units just getting pummeled by heavy cavalry as they charge in and out, multiple units overlapping on different layers. VOLKMAR here, looks like he's taken a debuff. Yeah, looks like getting snare netted and poisoned, so significantly slowed down there, but of course the terror very strong. Meanwhile, on the low ground, Empire Cav have already swept up a few isolated units of Skaven, but we're going to keep it right here on this pitched engagement up on the hill. Rat Ogres are going to get in here. A massive banishment goes down as well, but the Rat Ogres, of course, with their heavy AP, are going to be able to get in here and punch some of these knights relatively well. The Flayers, although they are more meant as anti-infantry, of course, they do also do armor-piercing damage, so they will be able to get in a little bit of damage over time on some of those knights. But yeah, that banishment racked up quite a few kills. Boris up to 100 kills so far, and well on his way, but he's in a little bit of trouble. Here comes the Assassin, going to be probably dropping that trophy heads. The Engineer comes in with his little zapper halberd stick thing. And yeah, Rat Ogre's doing the belly flop, and all of a sudden, yeah, with the trophy heads, VOLKMAR is in a bit of trouble, down to 0 melee defense, and he is taking a ton of damage here from different units. Where are the Knights of the Empire while this is happening? Getting a Warp Lighting there, very nicely placed, and they're trying to clean up some of these units up on the high ground, but again, there's just so many Skaven units on the field that it's going to be tough. They have taken significant losses already. Yeah, almost 600 losses already. That is pretty crazy, but here, Rat Ogres are able to get a pretty good engagement on some of these Empire Knights, start to clean up some of their numbers. The Empire Knights especially have reasonably low melee defense. That's a good pick. VOLKMAR'S also in a huge amount of trouble here, just getting chased by this massive, nasty goon squad here. Over here, the Empire Infantry suffering pretty badly. It does look like we're going to get the second banishment, or is that perhaps... It is. Oh, Shetland, you are my favorite. A massive flame storm ripping through here. Doesn't do too much damage initially. Does rip through some of those kind of Skaven scattered around the back line there. But let's watch this flame storm as we keep VOLKMAR in view as well. He gets relatively low, and this flame storm's going to roll through here. Will it actually end up getting a ton of contact? I don't know. It hasn't gotten too much work done so far. Only 17 kills on that Bright Wizard there, but here it comes. This is potentially a good situation here. It is going to do some damage to those Empire State troops as well, but does rip through quite a bit of Skaven there, so maybe ended up getting some okay kills at the end. Yeah, racked up to 62 kills from that last pass. Unfortunately, VOLKMAR does go down here, so the Grand Theogenist leading this massive crusade of knights up in the north here is going to get taken down, and yeah, Tretch's force here definitely has a very, very scary sort of death blob right there, but there are a number of scattered units out in the periphery, and Knights of the Empire are reasonably good leadership. They are going to continue to fight into the late game here, riding through this icy cold water, trying to catch these Night Runners isolated here. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. There's definitely still plenty of time left on the clock, of course. And yeah, just in general, we'll watch as things kind of unfold here. So you can see the Skaven trying to stay together, trying to not get too separated there. A few Empire State troops do come back from route, but at this point there's just, man, look at this. Bodies just scattered all over the battlefield as well. Absolute wild battle so far. Knights are able to catch this isolated unit of Night Runners here, but it does look like the Rat Ogres and Flayers are coming through, so the Knights are going to have to stay on the move here. Warp Lightning dropped. It does look like it's going to be just a little bit late. Just unfortunately blew up one very, very unfortunate Skaven there, but you can see the Empire, they do have plenty of units scattered all around. There's still like these Spearmen here that can come back, 55 of them. Reichsguard, the other cav up on the high ground, just finished chasing some routing units. So Shetland's going to have to be careful. If he can keep all his cav together and get like charges from all angles, he can probably finish off this little blob here. But here again, very nicely done, catching this isolated unit with these Knights of the Blazing Sun, or this handful of isolated units rather. Going to try and get out of there before the Rat Ogres jump in. They will be able to get in and do a bit of damage, so might end up losing those Knights of the Blazing Sun as a result. But here, again, he can sort of lead this little contingent on a wild goose chase. I mean, there's a unit of Rat Ogres and a unit of Flayers, which is relatively scary, but if he can get them in an isolated situation, and again, charging from multiple angles, very important in a situation like this. It does look like, unfortunately, those Empire Knights do get caught up, and they may end up actually getting rounded off there. They are holding for the time being, but over here, we do have multiple units of cav, Reichsguard, Empire Knights, and some more Reichsguards, so we will see. This unit of Knights of the Blazing Sun is routing towards friendly units, so maybe they can use these Spearmen to kind of force a good engagement. Over here, this unit of Doomflayers is caught up on the Zittler's Reichsguard, and because of that good melee defense, they actually will be able to grind out that fight for a little bit of time here. These Knights of the Blazing Sun, still a full 45 unit models. That is a very healthy unit into the late game here, pulling away from this bad situation. They did get a good charge in there, but yeah, it looks like up on the high ground here, Empire Knights and these Knights of Blazing Sun probably going to be able to sandwich those Night Runners. Over here, the Empire Knights just kind of, again, trying to force a more favorable situation, not really giving into a bad engagement there. Knights of Blazing Sun charging uphill, going to hammer these Night Runners here, catch them isolated, and then that does leave the Doomflayers and the Rat Ogres without any infantry support whatsoever up here. So then the Knights of the Blazing Sun, again, they can pull up and around and get a really high damage charge in here. Knights of the Blazing Sun, 78 charge bonus, are very much a shock cavalry. Only 24 melee defense, pretty low, especially when you compare to Reichsguard here at 28 melee defense. Yeah, definitely a pretty substantial difference there. Knights of the Blazing Sun definitely more offensively focused. They have less armor as well. But Reichsguard able to pull up and around here, and again, the fact that these two units are isolated from the rest of these, you can see Shetland's doing exactly what he should, which is to pull these knights up and around and do a nice concave and get a charge from multiple angles. So we're going to be fast-forwarding a little bit through this late game, as there is quite a bit of battle left to get through. And again, catching these isolated units, Knights of the Blazing Sun do end up taking a bit of damage there, but the other unit of Empire Knights completely healthy, charging from the rear. Again, Skaven don't have the greatest leadership, Rat Ogres as well with their relatively poor armor and leadership. If they get charged straight out like this, they will take quite a bit of damage, and you can see the Knights of Blazing Sun are able to pull away there, might be able to go finish off those Gutter Runners there on the edge of the map. Got some more Empire Knights coming back from route. That Bright Wizard also still being on the field is very helpful. Definitely very, very helpful in this late game. Reichsguard again getting a very good charge into these Rat Ogres. Here comes a Warp Lightning though. They might have to get out of there, maybe. Ooh, does some good damage to the Reichsguard, but also a bit of damage to those Rat Ogres as well. They're not doing too hot in terms of their leadership. Up here, these Rat Ogres are routed off, and the Flayers as well, taking a ton of damage from those Knights of the Blazing Sun with their high charge bonus. And we'll see. It's definitely anyone's game. Still, balance power still dead even after 8 minutes, almost 9 minutes of slugging. Another great charge there by the Reichsguard. Again, Reichsguard 62 charge bonus, still pretty solid considering the cost. The mass cav blobbing in there, they will be able to finish off that Doomflayer's leadership. Over here on the low ground, this unit of Flayers that had finished off the Zittler's Reichsguard did take a ton of HP damage there, doing a little bit of damage to the Bright Wizard. He's going to go ahead and pull back to try and get some cavalry support there. Looks like the Rival Hide Talisman being used to heavily debuff the melee defense of the Empire Cavs, or sorry, melee attack rather. So they're going to go ahead and pull away. You can see the leadership is very, very shaky, so Shetland has to be careful not to get too many of his units routed off here, but he is pulling back there as the Bright Wizard, again, attacking these Doomflayers, this time in the forest. He is going to be able to finish off their leadership and just getting some timely support from these Empire Knights as well. So we'll go ahead and continue to fast forward as Shetland tries to get a good position here. We do manage to get some Rat Ogres caught out in the open by some Reiksguard. Again, the superior combat stats of the Reiksguard really helped them against something like Rat Ogres. Rat Ogres only 29 attack, 29 defense, at least with that Scurry Away active, but they are going to get routed off by those Reiksguard there, and at this point it's mostly just infantry supporting the heroic characters here. If he can get rid of the infantry support and get rid of the Rat Ogres, he might be able to cycle charge the Skaven characters in the late game, but even still, Tretch, especially with his anti-large bonus and charge bonus, is going to be very tricky to take down in this late game. Very nicely done, pulling out that Warp Lightning, though, to maybe do a little bit of damage to the Skaven infantry. You can see all the Skaven infantry routes, as well as the Rat Ogres there, leaving those heroic units alone. So now we're going to put it into a proper fast forward as the Empire Cav chases off these few remaining routing units, and the Bright Wizard's going to come forward and does still have plenty of magic to throw fireballs in the late game. Although it is going to be a little bit long, these Knights are just going to continue to cycle charge here. You can see they shatter those flares. A few Skaven units coming back in the periphery there, but Tretch and his other heroes are just going to get cycle charged into this late game, and although they do have reasonably decent stats, their melee defense, I mean, only 35 for the assassin really isn't the best. Tretch, of course, has very good melee defense, but if it's just Tretch all by himself, he probably won't have the leadership to stand up. We'll see. Lots and lots of cycle charging here from the Knights and continuing to, again, just throw as many fireballs as possible. That one looks like it did some pretty good damage to Tretch. Probably I might throw at the Assassin. I don't know exactly who he's targeting there. Might have been targeting the Assassin, but yeah, you can see the shattered Skaven units there running away again in the distance. That did clip the Assassin, did some pretty good damage to him. Since he has low armor and mostly relies on physical resistance as his main defensive stat, very good to throw the fireballs at him specifically. And here we go into the late game. That fireball does enough to probably finish off the Assassin's leadership. And these few Empire Knights that remain, these Reiksguard and Knights of the Blazing Sun and so on, very, very tattered in this late game, having a hard time holding their leadership together. But you can see very critically the Assassin routes here, and only 45 armor on the Warlock Engineer as well means that as he starts to get focused, especially those Knights of the Blazing Sun, again, I can't talk about how critical charge bonus is. For those of you guys who aren't aware, charge bonus applies to both melee attack and weapon strength on the charge, obviously, and then it fades in a linear manner in, I believe it's over 13 seconds. So, I mean, if you just consider like 78 weapon strength plus their base 30 or what, 42 for Knights of the Blazing Sun, I mean, they're basically hitting like monstrous infantry. That's over 110 weapon strength directly on the charge. So even though there's not many unit models left in a late game situation like this, because they're hitting just about as hard as, again, like a monstrous infantry or something like that, they can do enough to finish off these Skaven units in this late game here, and especially being able to charge a single model from multiple directions like that, they won't get the benefit of that charge defense, they won't get the benefit of their melee defense, and it is going to be a victory for the Empire. So despite the loss of VOLKMAR, the Knights of the Empire finishing off the Crusade in very, very epic fashion. So a super fun replay. Huge thanks to Shetland for sending that one in. I know I had a ton of fun watching that one. The Knights of the Empire just carrying super hard into the late game and masses of kills on all of them, as you would expect. Well, almost all of them. This unit of Empire Knights only 38 kills, but hey, someone had to fight the Rat Ogres, right? Lots of XP chevrons to go around as well. 144, 2 chevrons here, 133, 1 for them. Reiksguard, 160 and a chevron, only 47, but still got an XP chevron. 71, 155 for the Knights of Blazing Sun, and 132 for those Zidler's Reiksguard. 66 for the Bright Wizard, 101 for VOLKMAR, so even though he only got to use one of his banishments, still ended up getting a good number of kills, as you would expect against this type of a Skaven army. A very fun Skaven army as well from Kark. Of course, you do have to do this in custom battle and enable large unit sizes, but Skaven are one of the few factions, I think, that can actually, they get better in large unit, in large army sizes rather. So yeah, very fun stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.